We could just hear the engines, I think, of Marine One sort of winding down through the trees from our position outside the grounds of Winfield House. He's being greeted there by the American ambassador and spouse, and they will be welcomed to this stately home. And it's the first of 3 stately homes, if you can call Windsor Castle a stately home, that he will be hosted at. And as you say, the focus for him will be, I think, the fact that he is going to be the only elected leader to be given this privilege of a second state visit. He's someone who is an Anglophile. He describes himself as an Anglophile because of his family connections. And he's also somebody who really enjoys being at the centre of attention. He craves that kind of attention. And he enjoys pageantry. He enjoys, he's a royal fan. He's a fan not just of King Charles, who he describes as a good, close friend and an elegant gentleman, as you say, but also the whole idea of monarchy. You know, there are those who would say he actually prefers the idea of monarchy because of his penchant for strong men, for autocracy, for even authoritarian governments. He seems to have
great flight. Our fantastic ambassador, we appreciate the job he's doing. He's
Thank you, sir.
really well, really well. The relationships are great, and he's been outstanding. So I want to thank him for welcoming us. We had a good flight. A lot of people came with us. And tomorrow's going to be a very big day, Mr. Ambassador.
Mr. President, it's going to be a historic day.
It's going to be great. Thank you all very much. I love it. Well, I love it. I love Turnberry. I love Aberdeen. I have a lot of things here that they warm my heart. I want to tell you, it's a very special place. Great place. Well, we're going to see him tomorrow, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time, and everybody respects him, and they love him. Thank you very much.
It's just coming up to 10 o'clock. We're on these live pictures of Donald Trump as he begins his second unprecedented state visit to the UK. He's landed there at Winfield House, the US ambassador's residence in London in Regent's Park. Our international affairs editor, Dominic Waghorn, is there. And Dominic, you saw him as he touched down.
Yes, he came in on board Marine One. That's the helicopter that always carries the President of America. And for those who sort of baffled as to how we saw that take off from the White House and then arrive here, well, there are a number of them, and they are flown around the world in these massive transporter planes that arrive and precede the visits of the US President wherever he goes, and there are normally 2 of them. So I think there were 2 Marine Ones, a decoy and the one that carried the President and the First Lady from Stansted Airport down here to Winfield House, the official residence of the American ambassador in London. A very grand neo-Georgian mansion on the edge of Regent's Park. Ideal if you want to have enough space to land a big helicopter, but also ideal if you want to keep the President away from prying eyes and from protests, because the grounds are so big, you know, it's very hard, would be very hard for protesters to get anywhere near being heard, and there's a huge number of trees and shrubs surrounding it. So it's an ideal spot to bring the President here for what is a controversial visit. And as he was flying down on the battlements of Windsor Castle, a video highlighting the links between the American President and the infamous paedophile Jeffrey Epstein was being played onto the walls of Windsor Castle before the police, I think, were able to shut it down. I think that highlights the controversy around this visit, the protests. And I think what we're going to see is a fairly short itinerary, but an itinerary that will keep Donald Trump away from protest, away from controversy, and keep him very much at the centre instead of a lot of pageantry, a lot of British military ceremony and the royal family paying host to him. And at the end of that, we're going to have more political discussions that his British host, Sir Keir Starmer, and his ministers hope will focus on things like trade. Those areas that Britain and America can agree on, while I think bearing in mind and being mindful of the fact there are many areas where there are widening differences between this government and the US president.
OK, Dominic, for the moment, thank you. Well, Donald Trump's second state visit as US president has begun, as we've been hearing, and it promised to be quite the 48 hours of pageantry and politics. Mr. Trump was upbeat as he left Washington, praising both the King and Sir Keir Starmer. For the Prime Minister, the stakes are high. He wants to talk about trade deals and boosting support for Ukraine. We'll have more on that in a moment. But let's cross now to Mark Stone, who also witnessed Donald Trump touching down on UK soil. Mark.
Yeah, good evening, Gillian. We've just seen his plane land here at Stansted Airport. Quite an extraordinary sight, as Don was saying, seeing it land here, the aircraft, the helicopters, all of that brought over. You know, he's got controversial, he's divisive, he's loved and he's loathed. And over the course of the next 2 days, he will be here at His Majesty's pleasure for this unprecedented second state visit. A state visit, yes, but much more than that. Touchdown for Air Force One and an historic second state visit to the UK for President Donald Trump. A smile and a spring in his step, maybe, because he's been looking forward to this. On the tarmac, protocol dictates it's the Foreign Secretary to greet him, Yvette Cooper, in the job just a couple of weeks, and hoping no one remembers her visceral criticism of the president in the past. He is the man she called a threat to democracy in 2019, abandoning allies, she said, a misogynist. He may still be that to many, but now, unlike then, he holds the cards and he calls the shots.
And so that's what this second state visit is all about. It is an acceptance from the UK that it's not just important to be close to America. The British government's position is that it's vital to be close to Trump's America. It is in their national interest for trade, for security and for foreign policy.
Before leaving, a clear indication of how much he's relishing this moment, how fond he is of the British pomp ahead.
My relationship is very good with the UK, and Charles, as you know, who's now king, is my friend. And it's the first time this has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace.
And a hint, too, of the reward for the UK.
They're also on trade. They want to see if they can refine the trade deal a little bit. We made a deal, and it's a great deal. And I'm into helping them. Primarily, it's to be with Prince Charles and Camilla. They're friends of mine for a long time, long before he was king. And it's an honor to have him as king. And, you know, I think he represents the country so well. I've watched. He's such an elegant gentleman, and he represents the country so well.
The British charm offensive began in February.
This is unprecedented, and I think that just symbolises the strength of the relationship between us.
Starmer ignored the critics, and it paid off, a trade deal of sorts. Certainly the UK was put in a better position than most, if not all other countries globally.
The relationship that we have is fantastic, because I like them, that's why. That's their ultimate protection.
It was, of course, the now fired ambassador, Peter Mandelson, who got that deal, the reward of appointing him before the risk did it for him.
Peter Mandelson actually did broker a real relationship with MAGA. I mean, it was an incredible act of shape-shifting, but he did it.
Lord Maurice Glassman knows Trump well, a Labour peer close to Team Trump, a rare thing.
It's hard to overestimate the extent to which he sees himself as a king. I mean, this is real. I mean, very, very real. So it's a huge change, this administration, from the republic to a monarchy. I mean, it's that big. I compare Trump to Julius Caesar or Napoleon, who did that change.
Dump Trump! Dump Trump! Dump Trump!
For now, the protests don't match those from the last state visit. Not close.
He's a friend of a paedophile. He's a convicted felon. I don't think a man like that should be in this country with all this pomp and ceremony laid on for him.
That paedophile is Jeffrey Epstein, and he is the jeopardy here. Mandelson's friendship with him is a threat to Starmer now. Trump can't shake his historic association with Epstein, and then by association through his brother, the king is linked too. Of course, the other gamble is that this is a president who changes his mind, shifts position. The next few days are Britain's attempt to prevent that, to cement the special relationship. Mark Stone, Sky News in Stansted.
Well, more on the president's state visit in a moment. But first, let's go live to Utah, where the man accused of killing the right-wing commentator Charlie Kirk is appearing in court via video link. Prosecutors say they're seeking the death penalty for Tyler Robinson. They are at the moment reading out the charges to him. Let's listen in.
76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony, in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-11-210 sub 2 and 3C, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm and that the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent offense in the presence of a child. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or pursuant to any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, conceal or remove the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or a first-degree felony. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with an intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Count 6, tampering with a witness, violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if the police questioned the roommate. Count 7, violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.10 sub 2 and 76-3-203.14 sub 3A little double I, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years of age, with knowledge that a child was present and that may have been seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. That concludes reading the information. Mr. Robinson, this case is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. It will be a waiver hearing, and I will be the judge assigned to this case. Mr. Robinson, I invite you to join us at that time. Is there anything further, counsel?
No, Your Honor, we'll have counsel appointed by then. Thank you.
Mr. Gurander, anything further?
One item, just for clarification, Your Honor, the hearing on the 29th, is that in person or WebEx?
Thank you. That is a great question. It will be via WebEx.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
All right. I want to thank all parties for being here, and this concludes this hearing at this time. Court is in recess.
All right.
Okay, well, there we heard the charges being put to Tyler Robinson. There are 5 counts, including aggravated murder and obstruction of justice. And the judge set the date for the trial here in the 29th of September at 10 a.m. Our US correspondent James Matthews is standing by. James, that will not be in person, if I heard correctly, though.
Yeah, by WebEx, as that was, Gillian. That will be a virtual hearing. Interesting, the first time we have seen moving pictures since the arrest of Tyler Robinson. Silent, solemn, wearing a bulletproof vest. Didn't show any emotion, really nodded an understanding when he was addressed directly by the judge, but was giving nothing beyond that. There has been a filing of an intent to seek the death penalty in all of this. That's the aim of prosecutors. Gillian, there was a news conference earlier on. We know a few things that we didn't before, details of the manhunt, the surrender, and there are clues behind motivation. Robinson's parents were told, well, they recognise him from images released by the FBI. His dad thought the description of the rifle matched one given to his son as a gift. So both parents tried to contact him. His dad was asking for a photo of the rifle, but Robinson didn't respond. Eventually, they made contact with him. When they did, he implied, we're told, that he planned to take his own life. They convinced him to come home. He said he couldn't go to jail, just wanted to end it, but they subsequently convinced him to turn himself in with the help of a family friend. Robinson's mother, she's told investigators that he had become more political, more to the left, and he was more pro-gay, she said, and trans rights oriented. She said he'd been dating his roommate, a male who is transitioning to female. When they asked his parents why he did it, a question asked of their son, he replied that there is too much evil in Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk spreads too much hate, he told them. On the day of the shooting, Gillian, the roommate received a text from Robinson, and that said, drop what you're doing and look under my keyboard. There was a note there that read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. He sent another text saying, shouldn't be long until I can come home, my love. And he wrote, to be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. Another text said, I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. The roommate asked him why. Robinson's answer was, I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
James, thank you very much. And that trial date set for the 29th of September. Let's return now to Donald Trump's arrival in the UK for his unprecedented second state visit as US President. It's prompted a huge operation in Windsor, where Mr Trump will be welcomed. Sky's Rhiannon Mills has been taking a look at the final preparations there and has this report.
It is the fairy tale setting for the ultimate state visit, but even this fortress has needed a little extra for welcoming the UK's controversial friend. Of all of the big royal events, this feels like it is on another level. Not just what we're doing to make sure that the president stays safe, but also to avoid him seeing anything that might upset him, such as those protests. After all, this is a man who regularly changes his mind, and this week is all about making sure he leaves feeling only positive thoughts towards the United Kingdom. And that's why everything about this state visit is meant to be bigger and better. Thousands of soldiers and horses on parade, with more pageantry than we've seen for any other world leader, a symbol of our vital military ties.
We're putting as much as we can into this as well. There's a few other extra things thrown in there with a beating retreat. It's a big part of what we do is we are part of the sort of PLC of the country. And it's really important that we put the best foot forward as we can to show off our nation in the best light that we can. So it's a lot of pressure, but an enormous privilege.
Especially with President Trump coming over, it's one of our greatest allies. I think it's only right that we show a good welcome to the country.
It will be helped by the fact that already the president has developed his own special relationship with both King Charles.
He's a beautiful man, a wonderful man, and we appreciate it. I've known him. Gotten to know him very well, actually.
And Prince William.
He's a good man, this one.
But Prince Andrew will be absent. Heavily involved in Trump's last state visit, he does live on the Windsor estate, but now no longer a working royal because of his own links to the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, a scandal that Trump really doesn't want to be reminded of. But one that has ramped up the interest in this state visit even further. The stage now set for the overnight stay that Donald Trump has always dreamt of. And the royal family know, for a man who is obsessed with the monarchy, it's again up to them to fly the flag.
And Rhiannon Mills joins us now from Windsor. And Rhiannon, we know that the president is super chuffed to be having this second unprecedented state visit. And he's even said that he's been upgraded because Windsor is the ultimate, and Buckingham Palace was his last venue.
Yeah, he was falling over himself again, wasn't he, to praise the King, to talk about how special it's going to be having it here at Windsor. We had President Macron have a state visit here, and it certainly does look spectacular. Of course, though, it's controversial. There are many who say we shouldn't be rolling out the red carpet in this way. However, I think Donald Trump is going to get literally every bit of red carpet that we can possibly find tomorrow. We're being told, they're not being shy about it, he is going to get the largest ceremonial welcome we've seen for a state visit in living memory. So it is going to be quite spectacular. However, the setting of the castle cannot completely erase the rest of the backdrop to this state visit. And we saw a glimpse of that earlier when we saw some pictures being projected against the castle, which were again a reminder of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, how much that has been overshadowing the run-up to this trip. Interestingly, someone very close to the planning around this trip did say to me, well, at least it shows we're not entirely shutting down free speech, which of course has been a criticism from America in recent months. But also, what does it mean for the royal family? Will it rattle them at all? Well, the answer is no. We will still see them out in force tomorrow as our diplomats-in-chief. They have been in this position many times before.
Thank you. Well, let's go live now to my colleague Yalda Hakim, who's in Kyiv, where President Zelenskyy has given her a message for President Trump and Sir Keir Starmer about Ukraine's war with Russia. Yalda.
Gillian, thank you. Yes, as you say, in an exclusive interview, the Ukrainian leader told me that Donald Trump has the power to make Vladimir Putin afraid of him, and he urged Sir Keir Starmer to push the US president for a written agreement to guarantee Ukraine's security when they meet this week during the state visit. Just take a listen to some of that conversation. Mr. President, Donald Trump is coming to the UK for a second state visit. What message do you have to him?
I very much hope that Prime Minister Starmer will be able to have a very specific discussion on the security guarantees of the United States for Ukraine. Before we end the war, I really want to have all the agreements in place. I want to have a document that is supported by the US and all European partners. This is very important. This is a very motivating thing for a Ukrainian military, so that they realize we will end the war and we will be protected. And to make this happen, we need a clear position of the President Trump. Next, we should be able to buy any weapons, except the nuclear weapons, of course, from the United States. Important weapons, missiles, rockets, etc. For us, this is very important. And the third point, strong personal steps made by President Trump to stop Putin.
So, Yalda, as well as all of the pageantry, there's some serious politics at stake, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And no doubt foreign policy will take centre stage on the second day of Donald Trump's state visit. And Volodymyr Zelenskyy wants to make sure that he is top of the agenda, and he wants his needs, the sorts of things that he talked about, the need for more weapons, tough sanctions against Russia, and something that gives him a clear idea of what sort of security guarantees the United States under Donald Trump and European leaders are likely to offer him. So he's hoping that message from him has been heard loud and clear, and that is why he granted us that exclusive interview here in Kiev. But just a reminder, you can watch my full interview with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy by scanning the QR code on your screen.
Yalda, thank you. And we will, of course, have full coverage of the state visit throughout the day tomorrow, right here on Sky News. To other news now, and for the first time, a UN-appointed panel of experts has concluded that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Israel says it categorically rejects the report, claiming it relies entirely on Hamas falsehoods. The UN's intervention comes as the Israeli military has begun an expanded operation in Gaza City, forcing thousands of people to flee. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons reports.
Israel launched its offensive at night. You can hear the booms. Gaza City attacked from ground and air. Inside this building, a boy trapped in the rubble. Covered in blood, shocked, but alive. Others died in this collapse. In Gaza, survival is a lottery. Daylight brought no respite. In Gaza City, as the Israeli military encroaches, you are never far from the next explosion. The ground rumbles. At the hospital, more survivors are brought in, but also more victims. There is no dignity in death here. Mohammed is in constant pain, his leg roughly stitched back together, his spirit broken.
For God's sakes, open the crossing, let us out. We don't want to stay here. Whoever wants this country, they can take it.
According to the Gaza Health Ministry, the number of dead is now around 65,000. And for the first time, a body connected to the United Nations has declared all of this is genocide. A commission of inquiry concluding Israel is deliberately killing and injuring Palestinian civilians, including children.
The Commission therefore concludes that the State of Israel bears responsibility for the failure to prevent genocide, for the commission of genocide, and for the failure to punish genocide against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip.
The Commission says all this devastation is gratuitous. that senior politicians, including the Prime Minister and President, are to blame. It is a claim that Israel rejects, saying the report is biased and anti-Semitic.
The Commission of Inquiry report published today is part of Hamas' fake genocide campaign. This is simply an echo of the jihadist propaganda. The report is what Hamas wants you to think, and it is a complete lie.
As the Israeli military encircles Gaza City, so its people flee. Hundreds of thousands heading south through a bleak path of devastation to an unknown future. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Jerusalem.
The High Court has temporarily blocked the deportation of an asylum seeker who was due to be flown to France under the government's one-in, one-out scheme. The 25-year-old man from Eritrea, who crossed the channel on a small boat, argued that he would face the risk of destitution if he was removed to France. There'll now be a full legal challenge. An arrest warrant has been issued for a former British soldier in connection with the murder of a 21-year-old mother in 2012. Agnes Wanjiru was found dead in a hotel septic tank in her Kenyan hometown. In 2018, an inquest concluded that she was murdered by one or more British soldiers based in the area. 3 people charged with supporting Palestine Action after it was banned as a terror group have pleaded not guilty. Jeremy Shipham, Judith Murray and Fiona McLean were arrested after a London protest in July. All 3 have been released on bail until a trial due in March. The Hollywood actor and Oscar-winning director Robert Redford has died, aged 89, as he's remembered as an icon and genius. He's best known for films including The Sting and All the President's Men, and of course, Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid.
Get away from me. Why? I want to fight him. They'll kill us. Maybe. You want to die? Do you? All right. I'll jump first. No. Then you jump first. No, I said. What's the matter with you? I can't swim. Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
Robert Redford, who's died at the age of 89. That was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's newspapers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the political commentator, Adam Bolton, and the journalist and broadcaster, Sonia Soda. Amongst the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of The Guardian. Its headline, Trump fans the flames of division, says Sadiq Khan. We'll be right back to discuss that and more. Do stay with us.